Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unpredicted Party side quest. I am joined by my friend Wizardway Chris, who plays Thranduil, the last king of Mirkwood. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Don.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to be
Amazing.
here.
Yeah, well, happy to have you back after, God, it's been what, like a year and a half ish?
At least?
Almost, at least. Yeah. For those that are maybe uh, joining us mid Brennan episode, Wizardway Chris, who has translated much of the stuff that I have on my merch shop into Elvish, as well as our Pride Month merchandise, is also in the Unpredicted Party. You played Thranduil for 3 episodes, managed to bring 2 of my characters to tears, hug one of them, make out with another one, and you tolerated the dwarf. So I'd say a successful little mini arc all around for sure.
I brought some spice into the campaign and it all went downhill from there.
You certainly did, but I would say it's gone downhill in the way that like skiers want to go downhill.
Yes,
That's what it's
yes.
supposed to
Picking
do.
up speed. It just keeps getting queerer and queerer, and that's a win for me.
Honestly, I think it's a win for all of the neurodivergent women with tummy problems currently listening to this wherever they may be doing so. Shout out to all of you.
Love y'all.
We also completely forgot to mention perhaps the most important part of that arc. You destroyed one of the elven rings of power that had been corrupted by Gwai here.
I did, with unforeseen consequences for our dear Halloweth.
Yes, that was not of your making, but mostly of Max's and mine. And Max
Love
had
it.
no, for the record, Max
Love
had
it.
no idea about that. But I leave hints, and sometimes the hints don't get picked up. But maybe the audience will go
It
back
was a
and
pretty subtle hint. It was a pretty
it's pretty.
subtle hint.
It's
I normally
it's.
pick up your hints pretty well because I know the lore just as well as you do.
I was playing the long
But
game. I was playing the long game. Also, you ready
I
for this?
love that for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Annex Wilson called me on a book quote and
I
said if that
saw
was
that.
and like that was the thing. I'm like, oh shoot, when
It's
we
like
do
that's
Chris's
that's 6
session.
HP, Don. 6
Yeah, I
HP.
know. I know. I know. But let's see how many we can add or take away here.
The nice thing about Thranduil in general is that we are dealing with off the book because Thranduil has
yes.
no lines in Lord of the Rings.
You know, he should have had one. I feel like he should have had one like a letter or like shown up at the Council of Elrond because he was there in the Hobbit. He was there
Dear
in the Hobbit.
Dad, going on quest to destroy the One Ring.
WTF, man.
And to which we hear just through the trees Thranduil yelling, "The hell you is!"
All right, so we are going to get things started with a little bit of a recap. We will see Thranduil in Mirkwood as he prepares for the journey with his entourage towards Erebor to try and make peace with the dwarves and potentially the humans of Lake Town. We will see what happens when we get there. Chris, are you ready to go ahead and get started?
Oh Lord, here we go. I'm
All right,
ready.
here we go. So, Chris, how do you think that Thranduil is feeling like emotionally, not about these 3?
Not about these 3. I think in general there is a dual sense of gratitude, sort of combating with a sense of foreboding. I think that he is grateful that chance brought one of the 3 rings of power within his grasp, and he not only resisted the temptation of it, but managed to destroy it. Thranduil, for anybody watching who doesn't know the lore, has a bit of a sordid past with the Rings of Power, in that his father was 100% intentionally snubbed when it came to the divvying of the 3 elven rings. But to further add insult to injury, I think there is a sense of Thranduil is extended kin of Galadriel, Celeborn, Elrond, and Círdan. So like everyone who did get a ring is family-ish.
It's a
Uh
weird family reunion for sure if they ever got together.
yeah. But he also understands at least my headcanon for the way that Thranduil got along with his father, which is not at all, means that he understands the reasoning for not giving his father a ring of power. Um,
Fair, fair.
yeah, he's like
Cool.
fair, but it means that he has a complicated relationship with the rings, and trying to prove himself worthy, but also proving to his people that he doesn't need them in order to rule.
Amazing.
So
In
there's that. And
thinking,
then foreboding.
yeah, and then the foreboding, of course.
Because, oh god, he has to now go and seek an alliance with the dwarves, and this has not gone well in the past.
Okay. In remembering that you are your own king and are capable of destroying one of the elven rings of power that has been corrupted, go ahead and mark yourself down with 1 hope point. We'll just
Okay.
say canonically, it's the first hope point that mechanically you've gotten in a while, because you have been just so full of grief from Legolas. But now hope, however faint, is still there. As you mark that down, I'm going to ask before we hit the road, what are you bringing from Mirkwood? What is Thranduil? Because there's like an entourage coming with you. You've got a few of your commandos, I believe we said, at the end of our actual session within the Unpredicted party. How many of your men would you like to bring? And what items are there? Is there anything you want to bring as gifts, as weaponry in case you're attacked on the road? Any special foods or items?
Uh, Question.
Yeah.
Did Max give you anything specific that he would have given Thranduil? As far as plans for weaponry and stuff, because I know there was an exchange of ideas, certainly,
Yes.
but also he said that he was going to create something specific for us.
So that us specifically has not been divulged
Okay.
unless, and I haven't clarified this with Max. I will when I talk
It's
to him
not
next.
high priority at
That's fine.
all.
It might be the arrows. I think that might be what he had in
Okay,
mind. I can reconvene after this, but I'd say for the sake of ease, you don't have a lot of time to make them. And
to
so
make
you are
things,
probably,
yeah.
yeah, I'd say you're probably better off saying, all right, blacksmiths, let's go south. You go, I'll go north. We'll meet up.
Sure.
We'll reconvene there.
Yeah. Okay. So certainly that's something we can keep in mind for when eventually the armies of Mirkwood go south. Um when it comes to how many, I think he would just take an elite guard of like maybe a dozen.
Okay, we'll say a
Um
dozen. You plus 12 or you plus 11?
uh Me plus 12.
You plus 12. All right. And any particular
That makes me
items?
nervous that you're like, no,
Well,
I
no,
need a
it'll
number.
help me scale. Like if you were gonna take a
It's fine.
thousand, it will help me scale sort of how we want to do the battles. I'm not about to throw a
No,
whole army at you.
Thranduil's ideal here is he's trying to look official,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is impossible for him not to. He's Thranduil, but
Mm-hmm.
um but appear official without appearing a threat. There is no great force there to assault anybody. It is just him and the guard that he would think is necessary no matter where he left, too.
Got it. Okay.
Just for personal protection, extra hands, extra bows, especially knowing that Gwaihir is the baddie now. He's aware of all beasts around him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
traveling through the woods and then traveling across the open space toward Erebor, certainly I think that they would go for smaller number, stealth as best they can,
Mm-hmm.
but enough to fight if necessary.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Any specific items that you, Thranduil, would like to take?
Um, Thranduil, while it's hidden under a riding cloak, I believe, along with his official garb, I think he would be wearing the Emeralds of Girion.
Oh, all right. Good to know. Just because, dwarf gem treasure stereotypes are present in the Lord of the Rings. So
Technically, they aren't dwarven.
touche. Touche. I'll take one
Ah,
HP off the final. No, I'm kidding.
no, this doesn't count.
Okay.
But no, the lore of the Emeralds of Girion, highly truncated for everybody. This is a necklace with 500 plus emeralds in it, owned by the Men of Dale, and constructed as payment to the dwarves in exchange for a mithril shirt that was made for Girion's eldest son.
And there's your obscure Lord of the Rings fact for this episode. Thank you, Wizard Way Chris. That's our show, everybody.
Very welcome.
Thanks.
Bye.
We're going to head out. So, Thranduil, you have gathered all of your sort of personal effects. Your forces have, for the most part, left. You are sending a majority of them down to Tariel in the hope that you might perhaps get the Unpredicted party on Tariel's side because they've sort of charmed you in a way or kissed you or whatever you want to attribute to the reasons.
Look, did Thranduil have an amazing time with Halloweth behind closed doors? Yes. And in semi-public? Yes. I didn't
Continue.
do that. That was Zach.
That was Zach. Continue.
But that did not truly influence him. It's really a combination of listening and actually hearing the plight that is going on, trusting those who sent them, and also just 3 in general winning personalities. I think he connects with Halloweth on a emotional level that the two of them are relatively cold, closed off individuals out of necessity. It's something they have walls that they had to build in order to protect themselves. So I think that there was a certain kinship there, but he appreciates the reckless abandon that he sees in Tanel, that reminded him a lot of his wife, and he actually was won over a bit by Beery, which shocks the heck out of him and makes him think, if I can get along with a dwarf, perhaps there is hope that any elf can get along with any dwarf. Like on the individual level.
Love that. Go ahead and take another hope point. Go and take another hope point for that. Typically role play between 2 people gets a hope or a fellowship point, but since it's just you and I today, I will give you that. From here, I want to transition just a little bit as your second in command, Pelennor. Did I roll the R's enough, Chris?
Yes, Pelennor.
Okay, excellent. Your second in command, Calendor, is going to approach you and say, "My lord, we are ready to leave. Is there anything else?"
If you are ready to depart, then we are ready. Assemble the horses, meet me by the gate.
The horses are already assembled, my king. Come, there's not much time. And we are now
smiles happily at knowing that he gave an order. It's already been done.
Hey, you are king. They are your people. They know what you need.
It's their job to read my mind.
Exactly. We are now going to cut to the travel portion. Now, because you are not traveling with a full army or a company or a battalion or however many militaristic terms I can throw out without actually knowing the number involved in those groups. We're
Same.
going to say that you are traveling relatively stealthily. You're going to try and skirt around the larger armies instead of like meeting them head on if you had a whole army amassed. So what I am
Yeah,
then going to
stealth for
ask you to do.
two reasons. Stealth for us staying hidden, but
Mhm.
stealth being able to look out over the vistas and see things from afar that we might be encountering.
Exactly. To that end, I would ask you, how are you scouting ahead? And I don't mean you, Thranduil. I mean you,
Hmm.
the guard. Do you have scouts going out ahead? Are you going out? Are we climbing trees? Are we using the high ground on hills and mountains?
Um, Certainly as they reach the edge of the forest, they would use the trees to their advantage.
Okay.
Um, these are wood elves, and prior to being forced underground, they did have dwellings in the trees, much like we think of with Lothlorien.
Hmm.
So they are well versed in climbing, scaling the trees, and I think they would go up to the top and take a good look,
Okay.
especially those who happen to have keener eyesight.
All right. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. The first is you're going to make me a scan check. And this is sort
Okay.
of a group scan check. So the difficulty level is going to be a little bit lower because
Okay.
the elves in general, 12 people looking around, scouting out, should be able to
Yeah.
see something as they go through.
Okay. So scan is 1d12 and 3d6.
Trying to beat an 11.
Oh, easily done. That's 12, 16, 20.
20. With a 20, far off into the distance, the thing you notice is that you don't notice anything. Mirkwood is, for better or worse, kind of emptied. The birds that should be above the trees, above the canopy, gone. As you make your way, sort of looking down onto the ground, you don't see the skittering of small rodents. You don't see any large game. Where the canopy is sort of blocked your view from below, the trees almost look as though they've been siphoned of their energy. Not that they have died, but rather that something has drawn from the power of the earth. But you don't necessarily see anything dangerous along this first portion of our travel. I'm going to ask you to make me a stealth check now.
Stealth check. Same deal. Ooh, not great.
Mm,
Barely meets my target number, 11.
11, but you do beat your target number. So
I
that is
meet
good.
my target number.
You meet, well, thankfully,
Meets it,
meets
beats
it,
it.
beats it. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. But you all successfully make your way through these sort of areas of land that you've been outside of your sort of little area of Mirkwood, but you haven't yet ventured far and wide since this calamity happened.
Hmm. I
What
think
do
it's
you
very
think?
unnerving
Yes,
seeing and hearing how still and quiet everything has become, especially for
exactly.
Thranduil, who is extra aware due to his connection to Erin Gallen herself.
Bringing up Aaron Gallen and the sort of spirit as its own thing. Go ahead and make me a lore check.
Mm, we love a good lore check.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, math. 16 beats it by 5.
16. In beating it by 5, I will say you sink your hands down into the earth, very similar to what you saw Halloweth do. You feel the calming presence of the forest that you sort of let yourself slip into. You remove your hands, and it's almost, I don't want to say quite ethereal because that's not quite the Lord of the Rings magic system,
Hmm.
but you are calmer. As unnerving as it is, you feel slightly better. The spirit
It's
of the
like,
forest,
I think it's like hearing your favorite song sort of
yeah.
softly repeating in the back of your mind. And when
Mm-hmm.
I think that when Thranduil is connected to the spirit of Erin or is channeling her, um his eyes sort of shift to a greenish color. So you can let me know if that happens.
Yeah. I think it will happen. For actually, before we get even deeper, because we're pulling out some deep cuts, could you please reference Aaron Gallen for those that maybe are not
Sure.
knowledgeable in that
So
expertise?
Erengalen literally translates to Greenwood. And this is the original name of the forest that later became Mirkwood. It was known as Erengalen. You'll see that in Rings of Power, they call it Erengalen. And over time, Erengalen in the Third Age becomes infected by the darkness of Sauron, starting from the southern edge of the forest, which is where Amon Lanc used to be, which then becomes Dol Guldur. So we've at least visited Dol Guldur in this campaign.
Yep.
And it went from being an elvish stronghold to being Sauron's stronghold as the necromancer. Um, and now, litter box for Sour Cat for Meowron.
Wonderful. I think
But
in this,
Erengalen is the original name, and it's the name that I use not just for the forest, but for the Maya spirit of the forest, who does not necessarily take corporeal form like the Istari, like the wizards do.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you,
But she's
Chris.
there.
Yeah, always there. I think as you roll this dice, you tap into that sort of channeling of I don't want to say the power, because it's not power. It's just another type of energy.
It's
It's
just a
what you
connection.
connect to. It's a connection. Yeah. You sense danger on the southern borders of Mirkwood, miles and miles away. And it would not be lost on Chris that around this time, the battle at the southern end of Mirkwood in episode, I believe, 20 of the Unpredicted Party is taking place as Tariel's forces with the Unpredicted Party and the forces you sent are facing the orcs that are attempting to penetrate your forest. This
I
feeling that
think
you
I think Thranduil feels a burning at his fingertips, like flames licking at his hand and sort of like invading. And he takes a moment to try and push that back and kind of shake it off a little bit. Just the acknowledgement that something is burning or happening down south.
Okay. I'd say this feeling lasts for the better part of about a day and a half as this
Ooh, okay.
battle continues through the night. You don't necessarily get like updates, but that feeling of calm actually begins to become even clearer as you channel this connection with the forest. And you get a sense, whether through Osanwe or through the forest itself or your own sort of machinations, Tariel and your army were successful and they continue south. I'm gonna go ahead and
He
move
makes he
to
makes a mental note to acknowledge that victory for Tauriel when they next meet.
perfect. We're gonna move to the second portion of our travel. Could you please roll me another scan check?
Okay. Oof. That does not make my target number. That's 8.
8. Okay.
Thank
You
goodness it
see,
wasn't an Eye of Sauron. It was very
yeah, man,
close.
it's oh boy. Then go ahead and make me a stealth check, but please do it with ill favor.
Ill favor.
Yes.
Heard. That's an Eye of Sauron.
Oh no.
Thanks, ill favor.
Oh no.
I got for my 3d6 I got 556, but disadvantage gave me the 1 on the d12.
Okay.
It was almost a devil roll. Love you, Charlotte.
Okay. Okay. Here's what we're gonna say to that. I was not expecting that to happen this soon, but we're gonna cut right to it.
He's distracted.
He's
Distracted by that pull
distracted.
down south, I guess.
It's in your head. The scouts are somewhere out there, and you hear yelling oh, okay. And what you are going to see in front of you is one of your guards, one of your sort of entourage, not Cullenor, but another one, with a dagger to his throat and a weary, very thin, gaunt looking elf standing behind him holding that knife.
An
I just
elf.
want to talk.
He holds up his hand and says, "Hold!
Who are you?
You don't know me."
No.
Let him go.
Do you serve Gwai here?
Never. See,
Do you,
just his eyes harden a bit.
do you serve the free peoples of Middle-earth?
We are the free peoples of Middle.
Then I ask you again, who are you?
I am Ardaur, Thranduil, Elven King.
His eyes are the size of dinner plates. The widest it can possibly go. The knife falls to the ground as so does he, goes down on one knee, starts clutching his chest, and no insight checks needed. You can tell that this elf is spent. There's nothing left in him as he's gasping for air. You watch as the elf that was taken captive quickly kicks the knife out of the way, gets over, draws his bow. Speak. And you see he can't. He is literally whatever
I think
energy he
Thranduil
exerted.
again sort of waves off the automatic defense that happens. Are we on horses or are we on foot?
Would you have taken horses? I'll let you decide that one.
For stealth's sake, I think no.
Okay. Then no horses.
I would say, and Mirkwood elves, wood elves, were especially with the unruly terrain that is Mirkwood. I think we are very fleet-footed, and certainly with no obstacles in the way over open plains and such. We probably move quickly at speed.
I think that's fair.
But I think Thranduil is going to have a dagger like ready in his hand, but go forward, and I would like to, if I can, assess what is wrong. If it's
I will
just
allow
pure
you.
exhaustion or if there is some sort of influence energetically over this individual.
You can make either an insight check as a kind of detection of good and evil, or you can make a scan check to try and read clues about his body.
In that context, even though it's a more difficult roll for me, I'll do insight.
Okay.
That's 17, beat my target number by 2.
In beating your target number for insight, you do not sense any negative energy, any evil, any foul spirits lurking within this elf. He is an elf, all the same, but he has been through intense battle, intense travel, and intense heartbreak.
Okay. Thranduil calls behind him and he just says, Nen, which is water. Calls for water for this individual and
brings over a jug. As soon as you
makes...
hand it to him, just gulps it down.
Yeah.
He snatches it out of your hand, like not even thinking, just like almost feral.
Thranduil strong arms him to make sure he doesn't take too much too quickly.
He coughs.
You can make
sputters
yourself
a little
ill
bit.
if you drink too much on a dehydrated stomach.
My apologies, King Thranduil.
Slowly.
It has been many days since I've seen clean water.
Why? What have you encountered?
Death. Destruction.
I will
So
need
much.
a bit more detail.
The Grey Havens are gone.
You see, Thranduil stands upright and just goes a bit pale.
Burned to the ground. Círdan, myself, and many others led the final defense as Lady Galadriel sailed into the west.
That was his next question. Since the Unpredicted party did tell him that Galadriel was going to sail, the lady left safely.
If the Valar are with us, she crossed the straight road many weeks ago.
See, just Thranduil will exhale slowly. And I think under his breath, he just breathes a quick prayer to Ulmo to safely see her across the sea.
What of your people? Forgive me, my lord. We have heard naught from the realms outside our own in many months.
We remain, as I believe we always shall, until the fading times. But we endure, and we shall aid those who will defeat Gwahir. He has the utmost confidence.
He looks around at the group. Your confidence, I have no doubt, is well placed, my king. Yet I fear I may be the only soldier the Grey Havens can send. Not even Círdan survived.
And I think he just closes his eyes and feels a deeper sense of loss than there are words for. Círdan being one of the eldest elves that had remained in Middle-earth. That is a great loss of wisdom and experience for elvenkind in general on the continent. We are happy to have you.
Where are you going?
Currently, on a fool's mission.
That's what I said about mine. Ours. Forgive me, I left with 2 companions.
They are dead.
For now, yes. But I will see them again one day, I hope. Once this grief has passed. And the days have ended.
Us all. And the halls thereafter.
Yet I am in no rush to join them, as they bade me continue my mission. It seems as though I have...
Thranduil's eyes sparkle a little bit, and he's just like... There's fire in him as well.
Forgive me, I am an elf without a kingdom. If you would have me, I would accompany you to whatever end.
We will have you. You are kin.
He bows as deeply as he can with the injuries, and I think at this moment you see him take off the traveling cloak, and there are cuts and bruises, and his ribs are visible underneath his tunic, and his wrists are so thin you see the bone almost like not quite protruding, but in that same way that like cancer patients just get that like skinniness to their bodies. And I think he'll look at you, bow, and say, "Where to next?" And I think that is where we are going to cut to
just deep breath as he looks off across the vista to the lonely mountain.
The camera pans up. We take a 30,000-foot view as the entourage of the 13 of you plus your new friend, who I don't believe we gave his name, but just for our sake.
He would have asked it.
As
he was being tended. But...
Yeah, sure. It is Aerin, Aerin.
I need a pencil. Okay.
I believe that's the correct pronunciation. Aerin.
Because
I know we already had Aerin, but I was spelling that differently. But you're our Elvish expert.
What's the spelling?
Aerin. I was doing Aerin. Oh, Aerin.
It would be Aerin.
Aerin. Cool. We'll say his name is Aerin.
Okay.
Cool. So you, Irene, and the rest of your entourage make your way towards the Lonely Mountain. No
Come on,
more.
Irene.
Oh, should have seen that coming. I'm disappointed that I didn't. Anyway,
That's for you, Charlotte.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay, yeah, we make our way as you move towards the Lonely Mountain now to the second portion of this sort of vignette story. Please go ahead and tell me your approach as you look over at Lake Town, which has now not become just Lake Town, but is now a much more bustling metropolis. It's bigger in this uh, time,
Uh,
not Hobbit sized. In the Hobbit, I mean.
at this point, if we were making our way toward Erebor, I think instead of Lake Town, we would have gone straight for Dale.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then what is your approach towards Dale as the city uh looms on the horizon?
I think that we have a soul banner that we put on a spear when we get close to at least visibly announce the approach. We don't want to take them unawares. We want
Mm-hmm.
to be easily seen, and certainly the banner, the standard, would be well known. And
Okay,
this is not just the standard of Mirkwood slash Greenwood, but of Thranduil himself.
got it.
So from a distance, it
Dale,
should be known.
yeah, from a distance,
From a distance.
yeah, you see Dale. However, you don't see any movement.
No
You
movement.
see you see no movement, and you see, even with elf eyes, I think you're going to squint and see some of the homes look slightly darker than the rest, almost as if they've been charred.
Charred.
And there are seem to be feathers around and the very distinct smell of animal droppings.
Okay. Immediately the banner goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Back into stealth mode, baby.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and make me a stealth check then.
Like, never mind.
Yeah.
No movement. And the scent of animal scat from afar. Stealthing time.
Yep.
Okay. That's 17. Beat it by
17.
6.
Yes. Successfully beating your stealth check. As you make your way closer and closer to the city, it looks as though it's been abandoned for a while.
Okay. So things
Battle.
aren't still smoldering. This is old
No,
damage.
no, no, no. This is damage that happened long ago. But the battle that happened here seemed to be more of a kind of pandemonium. You see the fallen bodies of creatures that you really have only dreamt about. Wolves and wargs with too many teeth, spiders that do not seem to be from out of Mirkwood, but rather would have their home in a kind of desert that you have never seen before.
Mm.
No oiliphants or anything quite so foreign or large in terms of beasts, but as you make your way through the city, dead quiet. And you're going to see Irene come around and just look very hesitantly. Great evil has befallen this place.
Can I find are there any trees still standing?
Scan check. Go ahead and make me a scan, or actually make me an explore check, and I'll let you add another d6 because you've got a group.
Okay. Fun times. That's a Gandalf.
Hey, all right. In a Gandalf, we will say that this was for explore, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In looking around, the several hours that you spend approaching the city, searching the city, you find any number of dead bodies of humans, dead bodies of dwarves. They have bite marks, they have claw marks, they have teeth every which way. There are teeth literally scattered from the animals that have been sort of going around the town. And you get a sense of sort of savagery that is sort of capped off by the northernmost gate, as close to Erebor as you can see from Dale, the body of 3 fell beasts dead on the
3.
ground. 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was looking for a tree and I found fell beasts.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you do not. I will say you do not find trees in here.
No
Uh,
trees?
I think you would probably have to get closer to the mountain, but the area of Dale, so the things that happened here, there's no
Okay.
trees. They are. It's when I say desolate, it's desolate.
Yeah. It's the desolation of Smaug all over again. Do I notice anything uncommon, if one can call Felbeast common to begin with?
Yes, there are.
Anything unnatural as far as like are we looking at beasts with 3 heads,
So
Don?
here's what you're going to say. I will say you notice all of them have enormous arrows, bigger than the kind that took Smaug out, almost spear-like,
Okay.
almost like looking like a ballista. One of the fell beasts does have 2 heads.
Okay. Can I see anything as to the nature of these heads?
One is a fell beast, and the second is a fell beast-like creature. But I think you'd have to get up close and personal to sort of figure out what exactly it might be.
And these things are long dead? What's their state of decay?
You'd state of decay from a distance. I'd say the hide hasn't started rotting yet, but they haven't moved. You'd have to get up close and personal.
Okay.
Would you like to get closer to the fell beasts, or would you like to make your way closer to Erebor
I would
or
like to
something else?
stay a safe distance back, but I would like to uh send the quickest slash stealthiest of my small party
Cool.
to try and get a better look without touching.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and make a
I
stealth
think
check.
the more we know about these strange beasts, the better.
About an hour later, the entourage guy, the elf, comes back and says, I heard things from inside the mountain, but sorry, I did the dwarf accent. My bad. um, he informs you that
Definitely an infiltrator, this
yeah,
guy.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Dane comes dressed as your other guy. We stripped him, and no, you're gonna see the elf
Oh
come back and
man.
inform you. He did hear movement from inside, or sounds from inside the mountain that sounded like movement, but that the doors are basically sealed shut.
Okay. I meant to have this individual investigating the fell beasts. Now, were the fell beasts
Oh,
closer to Erebor?
excuse me. No, the fell beasts are closer to Dale, but I think just in giving you what I gave you already, the fell
Okay.
beasts themselves are a kind of evil. They are very
Mm-hmm.
much like the sort of menacing, corrupted kind of magic, and these were not born. You think they were
Okay.
made or created in some way, but they are long dead and safe to examine, I think, at this point.
Okay. Made or created to an extent. Does that ring the same way as Balrogs do? Do I believe that these might have been Maiar spirits within these?
Make me an insight check.
Okay. We're just trying to get intel here. Unfortunately, that's an Eye of Sauron.
At this point, I
Had a
think
couple
it could.
sixes, but Eye of Sauron.
I think with as many different scenarios as there could be, it's tough to pin down exactly
Okay.
what could have caused this.
Just trying to figure out the scale.
No, you're fine. You're
How
fine.
bad is bad?
It's not great. I think you'll get the sense that like this is foreboding. But I
Okay.
will say, just in sort of telling you what I told you unintentionally, you would feel somewhat safer approaching the gate of Erebor.
Okay. But everything is very still.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, we do want, if we feel that there's no immediate threat, I would put up the banner. I want them to see me coming.
Okay. Banner goes up, No movement or sound or any signal from inside.
Okay. Either they've shut themselves away, or no one left remains.
I think you're going to hear Pelennor chime in, my lord. The secret entrance, perhaps? The one that King Thorin and that hobbit of yours.
I think he debates it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it reasonable that Thranduil would know of this secret entrance?
Mm.
Because I don't necessarily think he
Oh,
would.
yeah. You know what?
This was Thror's map.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to take that back. We're going to retcon that. We'll
Okay.
retcon that a little bit. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I
Like
think
I
in
thought of it, but I don't think Thranduil would know about that
yeah.
entrance.
No, I agree with that. I
Um,
agree with that estimation.
it's not like he couldn't read the map.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But
That's fair.
I don't know that the map ever came into his possession.
Then I would
Um,
say you all do not know about this
okay.
hidden entrance. You know of one way into Erebor. There may be
Mhm.
others, but you would have to search the whole mountain to look.
Um, as we approach the gates, and there is no stirring, no sign of life whatsoever, correct?
Correct.
Um, the okay, this is a bit of a cut, and it's really
Mhm.
pulling from the Hobbit movies, which I
Go
am
ahead.
loath to do. Uh,
Tariel is a character in this series. We're
I
good.
know, but
Let's roll with it. What do you got?
um, when they were rebuilding the gates of Erebor, there was a space through which they were communicating. Um, I would like to have Thranduil approach, covered by his guard. And can I have him sing something into the entrance?
Yeah, what do you sing?
Do you want me to sing it?
By all means, if you feel comfortable doing a quick 10 to 15-second snippet.
Okay. Hen fydd wi en o rod nhw dair wyn, tirio I ffair yn gweddw ni. Bi wel wen o nhw na nawr a ddwath, wi dirio dŵr yn waith.
Take a hope point, and as you do, the sort of discussion panel flits back from the stone, and you hear stone move against stone. And the eyes of a dwarf, thick, thick, heavy beard, and dark, sunken eyes. Not heard that tune in a fair minute, let alone in a language I do not speak.
I do trust that you at least understood Durin.
Oh, quite right. Forgive me, but do my eyes deceive me? Or are you King Thranduil of Mirkwood?
That depends.
Why?
Well, I'd rather not be shot on sight.
Then you probably shouldn't have shown up at all, but as you can clearly see, times have changed.
Indeed, they have.
You're going to watch the dwarf look at Irene and the other 12 elves with you. Is this all that stands from the last forces of Mirkwood? Is this your army, my king?
No, we are still many, but we are not a threat.
I truly wish I could believe that. I do. The fact that you're here credence to your claim, but you will understand. I need to go fetch the king.
I insist that you do.
Right. Don't go anywhere. And he closes it. You hear some shuffling behind.
Thranduil turns around and just goes, well, that went better than I hoped.
You wait 5 minutes and 10 and then 15 and then 20 and then 25.
I'm a patient elf. I can
and
wait.
30.
I can wait.
After a half hour, the doors of Erebor give a boom from deep within it as the gears begin to turn, and you hear what is an enormous new lock system that is somehow keeping this door even more secure, operating with intricate gears and details and every which way. You can't see any of it, but you know what's happening.
Love that.
The door opens, and it becomes immediately clear that within that half hour, King Dane was preparing a small force just in case this was some kind of trick, because King Dane stands in front, armor in hand and hammer in hand. You also see a human that I don't believe you would have met, but would heard tale of, Brand, the king of Dale, sword and shield in hand, with about 100 dwarven and human archers behind them.
Mm-hmm. Prepared for this, because any delay means an amassing of force or show of intimidation. Thranduil would have stood back and I think instructed everyone in his party to be standing there with empty hands open.
Are there
Not like
weapons? Not hands up, but just standing
but
there,
but
sort of,
just
yeah.
standing open-handed, making it very clear that while they do have weaponry, they are not drawing, they are not showing signs of aggression.
Understood. I think you're going to see Bard glance over at Dane Ironfoot, King of Erebor, and
I
say,
mean, Brand.
excuse me, Brand. You are going to see Brand glance over at King Dane Ironfoot the second, and say, been long enough. If they were going to spring a trap, the bait was sure kept waiting. And he's gonna kind of chuckle a little bit, and you're gonna hear Dane look back up and go, aye, but I hear Gwyder's a patient one. You, looking at you, Thranduil, I did not expect to see you. What brings you north of the forest, my king? Interrupting you.
Love that. I come on a mission of peace and potential alliance.
Oh, aye. Potential alliance now, is it? Bit late for that. And your army doesn't look quite as strong as mine.
My army was left behind in Greenwood.
Then why are you here, my lord?
I am here to open a dialogue. If you will, have patience with me.
Make me a persuasion check.
Brandy's not really a persuasive guy. He's an intimidator, not a persuader.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to do it. That's a 7.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. That's a 7. You're going to hear Dane chuckle under his breath. He wants to open a dialogue. And you're going to look at Brand, who's not really chuckling the same way, in that sort of like sarcastic, we are old enemies kind of way. He's going to start looking a little bit nervous and kind of glancing at you, glancing at Dane, glancing at you, glancing at Dane, sort of back and forth. My king, to Dane, Brand is going to say, perhaps he is right. Perhaps his army.
I come bearing gifts if gifts are necessary.
Oh, you think you can just walk in here, months past, in our time of need, and you just think you can give us something shiny to apologize for your absence?
I do not apologize for my absence. I apologize that I left to begin with.
Make another persuasion check with favor, please.
Thranduil apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
This is physically painful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Even with favor?
Even with favor. That's an 8.
An 8. I think you're gonna look
Lord.
at Dane again, and he's gonna just if I didn't hear it from my own ears, I wouldn't have believed it. But now I know it's a trick. Come on, Gwai here. Come on. Where are you? I'm ready. The forces of Dale and Erebor have combined. We're ready for you.
I destroyed one of the rings. They are corrupted, and I destroyed one of them.
I beg your pardon.
We've been a bit busy. I cannot apologize for defending what is mine. I cannot apologize for defending the entire region in the best way I could. I will not apologize.
A king keeps his own kingdom, right? Did you even get any of our letters?
Did I?
No.
What letters you sent, I received none. You have my word. Because this new found realm of Dale and the new kingdom under the mountain are prized allies in the region, and I would not soon abandon you if I knew something was afoot.
You're gonna see Brand, the king of Dale, the human, hold his hand out to.
And just for context, Thranduil and the Elven forces helped rebuild Laketown, but they also helped build Dale.
Yeah.
It was partly their resources that they lended to establish the realm.
Yeah.
And while that is how many years ago?
It's been a while. 60-ish.
Been a bit.
Yeah.
That's blink of an eye for an elf, and
yeah.
he.
Yeah.
This is aid that was freely given, and not he didn't ask for anything in return. He wears the evidence of the gift that was given him for that help.
Amazing.
And I think now he sort of pushes back the riding cloak, and one can see the emeralds of Girion.
You are going to, in revealing the emeralds, this gives Dane just enough pause that I think Brand is going to hold out his hand and say, "My Lord Thranduil, I am Brand, King of Dale. My father and grandfather spoke of your aid and assistance in this land of which I now rule over. Please, you have my sincere thanks for your..."
Brand, how fare your sons?
They grow thinner by the day.
If I can help them, I will. And I think he says this from a place of mourning.
Go ahead and make me a persuasion check again. This one is to Brand in particular.
Come on, dice. He doesn't get more heartfelt than this.
No.
Finally beats it. That's a 14.
In succeeding, you're going to watch Brand take a deep breath, nod to Dane, who's still looking up at you, just kind of
looking down, I assume.
Excuse me, yes, looking up at you, and you are looking
There's
down
no
at
way
him.
a dwarf would position himself below Thranduil.
No. From a distance, I think you're going to watch Brand nod, but Dane sneer. You haven't convinced Dane yet, but I think Brand you at least have an ally, someone to fight with you in this sort of trying to recruit the dwarves.
I think from speaking to Brand about his children, he then regards Dane as well. And says, "How fares Thorin?"
Obscure Lord of the Rings fact and out of game moment. Thorin is also the name of Dane Ironfoot's son. He is Thorin the Third. Thorin the Third, just in case that's not clear to anyone.
Yes, I did my research before coming on your show again.
Dane's gonna look at you and say, well, he won't be wielding a two-handed axe anymore, unfortunately. Quite nimble with a shield, though. You don't need hands for shields.
I am grateful he is living. He fares better than my son.
Make me a persuasion check with favor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you mentioned Legolas. You get favor on that. I wasn't gonna. You. Oh, well done. Okay. What do you got?
19.
19. You see Dane do that thing where the person you hate just made a really good point, and like the mouth clenches up and deep breath inward. I'm sorry. Truly. The loss. We've all...
His life was not yours to protect.
No, of course not, but...
And I think you see just I think it's the first time he's lowered a bit of his mask in front of dwarves of authority, shall we say.
Yeah. Make me... I'll allow this. Would you like to make me an enhearten check real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. just for the heck of it.
Okay.
It's not a great skill of yours, but... Let's see what we can do.
Better thanks to destroying the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's an 18.
An 18 beats your target number. I think you're gonna watch Dane put the hammer down, and behind him he raises a hand, and the bows that are pointed at you from these dwarves and humans, and you see a few children in there too, teenagers. Right, well, if you are one of Gwaihir's traps... And he's kind of looking around up in the air. I guess I'm falling for it. Come in. We have much to discuss. And we are going to sort of do a quick fade to black there.
Thranduil would actually bow.
Okay.
In respect. Because he knows that this is the olive branch. That he's being allowed to enter at all is a very good sign.
Okay. Let me make one check real quick with that bow.
Thranduil is one who bows to very few.
I think you are going to see the rest of your elven entourage, Pelennor and Irene as well, kneel. And you are going
whenever
to...
Thranduil bows, they kneel.
Yes,
100%,
yes, all the rest of them kneel. And I think you are... Yeah. Do you keep eye contact with Dane and Brand, or do you bow your head as well? Like eye contact, like you look at the ground.
Do I know what would be more impactful from Dwarven custom?
I think the bow from the waist. Personally, that is my Dwarven canon. If you disagree, we can discuss that, but...
Yeah, bow from the waist, but I mean, is eye contact...
Oh, excuse me. I think removing I think looking down at the ground would probably be a bit more deferential from Thranduil.
Okay. He'll do it. Eyes averted.
You hear Dane from above you laugh. A chuckle. Well, now I've seen everything. Did I not say, my lord Brand, that we were dreaming? None of this was real? Because I thought I had seen two-headed fell beasts. And now look, the king of Mirkwood prostrate before me.
I think he lifts his head, reestablishes eye contact, and says, "No amount of trickery from Gwai here would make me do this."
Go ahead and add another point to your persuasion. I am not going to have you make any more rolls with that. Amazing work. We are going to go ahead and fade to black there as you enter the mountain with your entourage. I think Irene is going to relay what has happened in the Grey Havens and how Círdan and the rest of the elves gave their lives to help Galadriel get to the Undying Lands. You are also going to hear, and we can go into a little bit more detail in whatever spin-off series I create about Erebor in here much later, played by a completely different cast as a one-shot or spin-off miniseries. The dwarves have been under intense attacks and sorties of orcs and
barrage after
creature.
barrage
Yes,
of baddies.
one after another after another. You walk past these enormous ballistas larger than you've ever seen that you get a sense that have shot these fell beasts. And I think as they sort of give you the tour, you realize they have been dragging the fell beasts in and using the hide and trying to see if any of the meat is fresh. But after a while, it's no, let's just use it. There's every bone, every tool, because resources are so scarce. They have not been able to utilize the outside world.
Thranduil would tell him you missed a couple and give them the location of the couple that are still closer to Dale. And if times are so difficult, he would offer to send some of his elves to try and retrieve those quickly.
I think you'd see Dale chuckle and say, "Thank you, but no, we are more or less completely outfitted, as you can clearly see, and around you is just leather armor for all of the humans. Everybody able to wield a sword is. The mines have gone deeper than they ever have before, just desperately trying to, as much as it was an area of commerce, it is also now an area of we need to dig, we need to refashion everything. You see, as soft as it is, some of the gold has been melted down and used for any number of wheels and carts and little metal things. Everything that you think of for Erebor in terms of like the metals and the stones and the gems have all been completely repurposed for an outfit of war, whether that is to hunker down and seal in or to charge ahead in a sort of final last stand. They seem to be prepared for both, but it has been essentially a non-stop onslaught, and so they took to shutting themselves in to the mountain and not moving. I will give you now a moment if you have any questions as Thranduil to gather more information. Now would be the time.
I think that Thranduil would readily acknowledge that while he has been doing his best to protect the region from the west and from the south, acknowledging that the dwarves have done the same in service of his realm by basically taking the brunt of all of these attacks from, the northeastern, the entirety of Rune. That whole area, that I think he would make the point that their realms, while set in juxtaposition, very much rely defensively on each other, and that he is grateful for the defense that they have provided the elves, and the sacrifices that have been made on their part.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see Bran sort of showing you some of these battle strategy maps and sort of sharing the intel. We've had creatures come from all directions, but our forces have mainly been onset from the north. We don't know what's come out of the ice. Very few of our kind venture up there. Dwarves of the Iron Hills have made their way here as well. There's so much we don't know.
The Iron Hills are empty? What about Mithrin?
Everything is empty, my king. Everything. From the Iron Hills to Dale, every human or dwarf within as many leagues as you can walk in as many months through this danger is here. We assumed, forgive me, we assumed Mirkwood was lost, not had been heard from you or your kind for many weeks and months, but
Mirkwood is emptied.
the creatures, it was so here as well.
I've never heard a forest so quiet.
I've never heard a lake so quiet. And I think Dane, realizing that there is a bit of camaraderie after these many hours of discussion, I've never heard a quiet mountain, but I heard a pin drop. At least I think it was a pin, maybe it was a plate, but I miss the noise. Do we need ale? We should, and I think you see him lost in thought in this moment as you realize you three
Randall
rulers...
pulls from his back pocket a bottle of wine. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, we are not playing questions with Dane, Ironfoot, and Brand. That is a hard no. So sorry about that. So sorry about that.
I do. There is something that I had planned on.
Please,
Brandwill bringing for them.
Go ahead.
Thranduil is a very long-lived elf.
Mm-hmm.
Thranduil is about 6,500, if not closing in on 7,000. So, dude's old. And he's been around for the dwarves actually do predate him in this region.
Yes.
But once Mirkwood was once, Erungallen was established, there was trade happening, especially with the humans, less so with the dwarves because of longstanding grudges. But with Dale specifically, I think that Dale was known for its bells and its toys. Specifically.
Yeah.
I think that while Legolas was too old to enjoy such things by the time Dale was created, I think that his realm imported Dale toys for some of the elven kids. And I think that this is more meaningful than I knew it would be with Dale destroyed. I think he brought some of those relics that have been very well loved and well cared for by the elves. I think he brought some of those for the young sons of Brand. And it's not really appropriate for the dwarves, but it was something that he had planned on bringing for the sons of Brand.
Yeah, I think
he had assumed that they were okay because he didn't receive any of the missives saying that there was trouble.
Right.
On the
sorry
Eastern
about
front,
that. That's just me as Don. Yeah, I think as you hand
that's
them,
war.
Yeah, it is. As you hand them to Brand, I think he's gonna look at them and just look up at you, kind of shocked. Here's this 7,000-year-old elf.
These toys must be like 200 years old.
I do not know what to say. It has been quite long since they've had anything new to occupy their time. Thank you. And he hands it to one of his attendants.
I meant for them to be brought home.
Perhaps I could trouble you for your assistance with my kingdom once more, my lord.
We all survived this struggle. You have my aid.
No, I must be dreaming now. My goodness. Right, and you can see that Dane.
I regret to inform you, I don't own any dwarvish toys to gift any of yours.
My son has more of an affinity for weapons.
Weapons I can provide, but I don't
Oh,
know that you would accept them. You have quite the craftsman here yourself. I have recent experience with such.
oh, King Thranduil,
Mm.
you have graced us not just with these wee child's toys, but with 13 new sets of hands. You come into my home. We get to work.
We work for Aki.
Aye. We will now move to the time lapse portion. Chris,
Montage.
I will give you this opportunity to create something of elven and dwarven make together. If you would like to
Where's
sit on
Max
and
when I
think.
need him?
I know. Here's what
It's
I will
not
say
my
now.
forte.
Here's what I will say now. If anything comes to mind later, because I know I'm springing this on you, feel free to touch base with me. Feel free to touch base with Max. It can be something you can build. But as I don't know when this is going to air, I will say that you can think on it if you would like. But this is truly the first time, I think, in your experience, that the elven and dwarven compatriots are working together in a kind of smithing, in a kind of war caravan preparation.
Yeah.
Does anything come to mind initially?
This is the first synergy between our folk in quite a long time.
It's been a hot minute.
I think I will have to confer with either Zach or Max or both.
Talk to Zach, talk to Max. This is sort of the thing I wanted to leave open-ended.
Zach knows weapons, Max knows smithing.
Right.
You have quite the party assembled.
We do. I think right around this time, and I'm just going to go ahead and play Gandalf here for the time being. As you and Dane and Brand spend the next several weeks preparing, going over strategies and sharing information and what we know. And okay, Grey Havens are gone. Dale is no longer an outpost. We've seen troop movements here. We've seen creatures coming from both the north and the east. You've got all of these sort of coordinates being stored in your head about who is where and what people know. But after many weeks, and we expect
one thing I would like Thranduil to take time to do amidst all of this is every day I would like him to find the deepest rooted tree that he can on the mountain.
Okay.
And reinforce it with some of his magic to press its roots outward so that if the signal is given by the whistle of Orome, he will hear it, even though he's in Erebor and not Erengala.
Incredible. Go ahead and make me a lore check.
I'd love for the dwarves to watch weird, elven earth magic happen.
Yeah, go ahead.
And being like, what is he doing? He's like talking to a tree.
Yeah. Go ahead and make me a lore check, please.
Cool. Meets my target number.
In meeting your target number, it doesn't happen the first time. I think Dane explains that the trees were all ripped up and destroyed, so they couldn't be used by the humans.
We'll see about that.
Yeah. But they did keep some, in the same way that like in Rings of Power there are patches within the mountains of like clearings with a few trees in them, and it's nothing fancy.
I'm just trying to establish a network of mycelium here.
Of course, of course. But it takes time. And with a 16 on your lore check, it's not going to be the first 5 times. You really have to dig deep in for this magic. And in the weeks and months that you spend in Erebor, you continue to try and strengthen it, and you feel the roots grow strong and try and connect with other trees. And there's a forest far off in the distance. Perhaps that tree could become part of that forest and migrate. And there's a kind of sentience almost to it. Not quite an Ent or a Huorn, but in that same way that Erengala, the forest of Lothlorien is. So too is this. I think after several weeks,
and he orders the dwarves, do not touch this fucking tree.
And they don't.
Of all of your trees to be used for your smithies, this one ain't it.
Yeah. Chris, I'll let you do this because this was your creation. Because as you know, having watched the episode, Tennell has called for the forces of Mirkwood and Erebor, if they are there, having used the horn at this point in our sort of concurrent timeline on this day, as the wind and the leaves and the trees and the earthy smells travel all the way south to the north up towards where you are. How does this, not quite Osan way, but this connection, how does this work? How does Thranduil's magic work?
I think because they were around like Pelargir, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they sounded the
Yeah,
whistle.
just about, just about.
Okay. I think that Thranduil catches the faintest scent of salt on the air. And it's enough to pique his interest because Thranduil hasn't been to the ocean in millennia. And I think it draws him to his tree, and when he connects, he just sort of, pushes his fingers into the ridges of the bark and he waits and listens. And I think what he hears is the cry of gulls on the
Oh,
ocean. And the strain of song that could only be described as owlays, sort of filtering through this long network of mycelium plant life, um, wind being caught between branches. I think that there is a symphony that coalesces into a sea song, and it pinpoints where they are, where they are headed, and that the call has been made. And I think that he's only heard this whistle used maybe thrice, under very different circumstances. But certainly the first time that he's heard it from such a great distance. And I like the thought of him hearing gulls for the first time in
absolutely.
ages.
Absolutely.
And having that moment, thinking of the havens, the loss of the havens, and that the vast majority of the elves that are now in Middle Earth will fade with Middle Earth, and won't have the opportunity to sail west. So there's grief in the loss, but there is also a deep determination and kinship that he feels with the earth here. Thranduil never intended on sailing, and he still doesn't intend on sailing. As long as there are elves in Erengalen, he will remain in Erengalen. And that connection that he feels with the lands of Middle Earth gives him the deep fire in his gut to protect what is theirs as long as it is theirs.
Amazing. Really well done, Chris. Wow, that was lovely.
I love the
Um,
elves.
yeah, yeah, I do too. Um, in hearing this call, this sound of gulls, you know it's time. Um, and so I think for the sake of time and ease, so as not to draw this out too long, um, you are prepared. You confer with Dane and Brand about the message you've received and that it is time. The armies must march. When they ask you how you know, it's just elven magic and a couple of hand wavies. And I think Dane's going to look rather suspicious, but no.
You're gonna have to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think that in in the consolidating of their forces,
Mm.
toward this purpose of, because he would share that we are needed here.
Yeah.
Knowing how advanced the defenses of Erebor are, I do think that there would be a stealthy migration of the families of Mirkwood
Okay.
with Dine's permission to take up residence in the Lonely Mountain temporarily uh, as refugees. But in order for the families of Mirkwood to no longer need defenses so that they could combine their forces, I think that he would empty his halls.
I'll allow it. I think you have been there long enough, and I think in rolling what you did and bringing up Legolas and bowing and apologizing, yeah, I won't even
Apologizing.
make. Yeah, it's not a thing for. Um, we will. I will give you
It's a
this.
bitter
Just
taste in the back of his mouth.
yeah.
It's a bitter pill to swallow.
Indeed. I will give you this just from a just in case this ever gets made into a comic book. You and Dane standing in front of the Iron Mountain, or excuse me, in front of the Lonely Mountain, as yet another family has stealthily made their way, or another group has sort of stealthily made their way from Mirkwood to the Lonely Mountain. And Dane is going to look up at you and say, your people will be welcome here for a time. But I hope you are not under the impression that you immortals will suddenly have control over my land once you get back. Hmm?
Well, we might want to start a guard. I think he's teasing. And if there's any sort of like, but I just said you can't. he I think he would softly chuckle, sort of pat his shoulder, and just say, "Our memories are very long. Sometimes too long. May this alliance and may your aid erase what was done generations and generations ago.
I don't.
We will not
Oh,
forget. We will not forget this."
I don't think there could be a Middle Earth that exists where my people collectively could just forget, but perhaps forgiveness and acceptance could be in order. Aye?
I think so.
There is a rush of wings above you as you hear the scouts cry out, Eagle!
It just, I think Thranduil pats his shoulder again and just says, "Let's kill some birds."
You see Gandalf riding on the back
Like
of
he's
a
ready to like
ready
throw
to
down.
go. Ready to go. Bows drawn, you see Gandalf's staff alight as the eagle Landreval. I forgot which one I killed and which one I kept alive. You watch as Landreval lands very close to the front gate as Gandalf hops off and says, My Lord Thranduil, King
Arrows
Nate.
right at him because last Thranduil heard, Gandalf was dead after being corrupted. Does he see that this Gandalf has both hands?
He does. And he reaches out his own hand. Please. There is no time. Great trickery is among us.
Gosh. I'm like, does he believe him? You choose quite a suspicious mode of transport, Mithrandir.
And yet one that brought me here faster than you could possibly imagine. Landreval, in his inner eye, saw you under attack. Miles south from here. We thought you were on your way. But you have not moved. Your forces. You must make haste.
You speak of our forces in the south, under Commander Tauriel.
Yes, I have seen Tauriel. Please. And he holds out his hand again. Trust me as you once did. Or perhaps you never did. Trust me once.
I think he looks down at Dine with a bit of a question mark, because it's not just one of their peoples. This is Dine's people as well as Brand's people. Is Brand there as well?
Brand is there. We'll say, okay. Say Brand is there. Yes.
I think this is very. It's not his choice alone to make. But I think Thranduil, more than most, understands the nature of Maya. He himself is sort of connected to one. He knows that when you slay them, they don't necessarily die outright, that their spirits are essentially eternal. So the possibility of Gandalf coming back is not as unfathomable to Thranduil as it would be to most. And I think his... Wait a second. Wait a second. I just saw someone join this call. Hold on.
You did.
Finish my sentence. I think it's not as inconceivable to Thranduil as it would be for most. And he tries to convey that his vote is for trust, but this trust has to go three ways. That he will not take this step without Dine and Brand.
You see, you all make eye contact. Hi, Justin. Come on in. No, come on in. You're muted.
You're muted.
Did someone say three-way? Sorry.
Yeah.
It is 100. You are in the right chat.
Anyway, Justin,
sorry, I saw the text. It's like, no. I was like, oh,
nope, you're good. You're good. Chris, as we wrap up this scene, which was literally 10 seconds from being done, you were going to watch Dane and Brand both nod at you as they both take Gandalf's hand, gasp, and say, look. Do you take Gandalf's hand?
Oh, yes. When they do, he follows.
Fantastic. In right grasping his hand, there is a kind of like Vulcan mind meld, Doctor Who knowledge transfer, an Osan way of extreme nature, if you will. And you see what Gandalf saw in Landreval's mind, which was a great elven lord with a great force under attack. And Gandalf making his way here at remarkable speed. You did not know the eagles could fly this fast.
Naruto running in the sky.
Pretty much. But you see the vision end of what Landreval saw. And in that same way, Gandalf looks at you and says, the Grey Havens. An elf lord. And you watch Landreval hang his head. It was not you, the elven lord. It was Círdan.
Dare I say it, a greater elf than I?
I would dare.
You would.
Indeed. He's very, very knowledgeable. You could have learned much from him.
He's like, there's an argument there for another day.
Yeah, for sure. I think you see Gandalf say, very well. There is not much time. He very quickly explains to you all of the events that have happened in the South, that the Unpredicted party have told him, how Tauriel's forces and all of your forces of Mirkwood have made it there. The initial vanguard that you know has been sent out by Erebor to try and get forces south to figure out what's going on have also made it there. This is where Beery's mother was. And I think you in this moment realize, oh, I still have lots of work to do, but this is something that I need to do because Gandalf is going to look at you and say, I must search for survivors. Landroval can bring me west to the Grey Havens. Perhaps I saw in your mind's eye the elf Irene. Where is he?
I was just going to say, Irene!
Yeah, we'll say you all go find him, and Gandalf is going to look at you and say, Irene comes with me. We travel west and look for news. Make your way south. Relay any information you can in whatever manner you can.
The trees will be listening. And
I shall be listening. And I shall be listening to the trees and perhaps talking to a few, if luck will hold. Come, there is no time. King Dane, thank you for your hospitality. It is, I just realized in my haste I haven't been doing the Gandalf voice. It is, not lost on me that a union of such elves and humans and dwarves has, not been seen for many ages.
Turning over a new leaf, perhaps.
There are many leaves in the forest.
Spring approaches.
And with it a new dawn. Farewell. And you watch as Gandalf, having been somehow tricked through the machinations of the dark forces of the world, waylaid in what could have possibly been aid to the Grey Havens, is now a rescue mission for any that may still be alive from a rout. Justin, you are here. And in being here, we are going to forego, because you have the armies, Chris, Thranduil is going to watch the forces of Erebor, the forces of Mirkwood, the 13 of you that are there, and any humans.
I still think that there was a small force left in Mirkwood to defend those who were there.
For sure.
So yeah, everyone remaining from Mirkwood who's not, you know.
You will
incapable.
You will is there anything else you would like to do in the Lonely Mountain before you travel south and we get to Justin's portion? You're still muted, Justin.
I do think that Thranduil, in this period of time where all this preparation has happened, these series of weeks, I think that to soothe his own broken heart, he would spend time with Bran's kids.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And perhaps plant the seed of connection to the forest in those youngsters.
I'll say you do that, no problem.
They're not elves, but
no.
But if they can hear something in the breeze over time.
Make me a lore check. I'll see if I can do sort of an overtime. We might be planting the seeds for season 4 or something.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
You know, you never know.
Yeah.
Actions have consequences.
Meantime, Justin, think about what stance you would like to be in.
Oh no, here we go. Am I gonna die? Well, it was nice knowing you, Chris.
Just an elvish arrow straight to the brain, huh?
All right. Yep. Easy peasy, lemon is squeezed. I'll go forward. What could possibly go wrong? Well, what's the context? Where am I? What's happening?
Don't worry about it. We're going to explain it as soon as Chris gets south, or Thranduil gets south. What's your lore check, Chris?
That was a 15 on lore.
All right. In rolling a 15, you have a great time with these kids. You wow them with the elven magic that you are capable of doing. You tell them stories of old, and they're fascinated. This is the coolest, newest thing that's ever happened to them in months, and it's been nothing but dreariness.
I teach them a couple elvish curse words, you know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I think towards the end you're gonna see them waving as they stay in Erebor in the defenses and just be like, "Goodbye, King Thranduil. Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye. Please be safe. We'll see you soon." And the forces make their way south. Because you have a full army, very much like the actual Unpredicted party, I'm not going to make you roll safety checks. You are going to demolish anything except another army. And so,
speaking of which,
we're
Justin,
afraid? Are you
in
evil?
the weeks and months of time that has happened between the meeting of Thranduil and the Unpredicted Party, you and the Unpredicted Party, many things have happened in the background. Whether or not Halbarad is aware of them is up to the dice, but we are going to spend, for just a few minutes, some time in the following scene. Because Thranduil, as you make your way further south, and you gather the forces of Mirkwood still in the forest, and you follow the trail of Tariel's army, and you hear word of a caravan that has gone which way no one knows, but you see footprints going every which way at a certain point, almost as if there was an enormous music festival happening somewhere in the plains. You get through the area that borders the dead marshes, and you see smoke rising off to your left as you realize, oh, we need to move through the least boggy, swamped area. And this terrain is so difficult, it takes you ages to move the armies through the siege weapons that the dwarves are trying to break down piece by piece and carry with them to Erebor. The wheels are getting stuck. There's every which way imaginable, just a problem left, right, and center.
Also, adding to that,
please,
is the particular grief of the Sylvan elves, because the dead marshes are full of Sylvan elves.
Yes,
that
they
died
are.
In the Battle of Dagorlat.
And
being confronted by the lingering evidence of his father's greatest mistake, I think takes a mental toll on Thranduil and his forces.
Okay.
Any beings that they see in the dead marshes are kin.
Excellent point. Please do me a favor. I will allow you to choose. Would you rather lose 1d6 in your Enhearten or lose your hope point?
I'll lose a hope point.
Okay. You have no hope points remaining.
But all of them?
No. Just the one. You had the one hope point.
You gave me 3. I've been keeping track.
I did give excuse me. I did give you 3. That's my mistake. I'm looking at, yes. Okay.
Heart attack. 3. Wait.
Sorry. Yes, you have lost one of your hope points.
Okay.
But you make it through, and that is sort of, rather than have you fight your way through the marshes because Grey Company stuff has already happened, we're just going to say you make it through, but it takes it toll in that way. You lose the hope points.
That canonically makes perfect sense to me. That's why I brought it up.
In making your way further south, you follow the river. You know you need to be on the Minas Tirith side if you want to be able to sort of sweep them from behind, but there are problems, and the river is too wide, and the bridge that you thought was there is currently not, but there are orc bodies littered everywhere, scattered as you get closer and closer to the city. There are dead Gondorians, dead horses, and it looks like almost a World War II, or excuse me, a World War I, like not quite trench scenario, but the mud and the dirt and the grime is all there. And far, far off in the distance, you hear the cries of orcs and birds and Crabine from Dunland and any number of beasts that you cannot even put or place. And as you crest over the hill, you see Minas Tirith under siege. Not only do you see Minas Tirith under siege by any number of foul creatures, any number of one or two-headed fell beasts, as the trebuchets go out from the city, as the ballistas fire on the trolls, or the oiliphants that have these catapult-like things on their backs being loaded with stones thrown into the city. This great battle is taking place. And then from the opposite side, on the hill, the Rohirrim sound their horns and riding through the Pelennor fields, wiping out a large majority of this force. And yet, you are on one side of the river because the course has changed. And you see, hang on, dog, just a few moments after, no, sorry, not a few moments, a few hours after the Rohirrim have charged and looped around and trying to regroup, they can't get themselves in order. There is another force. And you would recognize the cloaks of the Dunedain, Justin, as Halbarad and what remains of the Rangers of the North attempt to charge and break the lines of trolls on horseback, very similar to what Faramir did. As you notice the planks of wood that have formed makeshift bridges and jetties crossing into Osgiliath, as any number of orcs and creatures try and get back after the rout. Justin, go ahead and just for some backstory for Chris, in the session that we had a few days ago, this is a D12 that has been rolled twice for a Gandalf and once for a slightly lower number, which means that Halbarad didn't die outright in this desperate last charge and get immediately stomped by oiliphants. Instead, Anna Maria decided to bring the boats up and the army of the dead a la Aragorn and flank from the side so that they are now pinched, or in a pincer move, pinched by both Halbarad coming from Minas Tirith and Arwen in the army of the dead coming from the other side, and your forces coming from the other. I would like
you
both
meant
of you
it when you said three-way.
I would like you both to choose your stances as you enter individual combat, because, Justin, as Halbarad is fighting his way through these orcs and creatures trying to break the lines, you approach the city. And my question for you is, Osgiliath is a city that lies on two sides. Are you entering the city proper off horseback, or are you riding through to just try and cover and overthrow as much distance as you possibly can?
I don't want to leave the group, like the mass of people that are on my side. So we're probably like chopping and moving at the same time, you know?
Okay. Sounds good. Are you on horseback or are you on foot?
I will say I'm on horseback, but when I get into the city, I dismount. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, it is. I will say it is around this time, Thranduil, as your forces more or less decimate and rout many of the forces that are on the plains on the other side of Osgiliath. You see a dark-skinned, bald, rough and tumble human ranger fighting off several orcs. Halbarad, you see a 7-foot-tall elven king, dual wielding, I assume, swords in the midst of battle. And there's a brief lull as you both kind of like finish your moves off of the creatures, and you look at each other, and there's almost a hint of recognition, but not quite, because Thranduil, this human has an air about him that reminds you of someone. And it's Aragorn. And it's not the good kind of reminding.
Okay. Can I take a moment to see which side the elves are on first before I do anything
I
particular?
think it becomes very clear the elves are on your
Okay.
side. Army of the
Does
Dead
it-
is going through.
I was
Elves
like,
are chopping up all
wait a
the
you
others.
have
minute.
an orc about to like hit your back, and he throws a sword and impales it and takes the sword out. It's very
Another
clear
meat
he's
cute.
on your side.
It's another
Okay.
meat cute. It's great. What do you say to that, Halbarad?
Uh, hmm. I just want to look Fandral up and down, and I hesitate in saying thank you. And instead of saying thank you, I just slay the next orc that's coming towards Fandral and nod.
Oh, 100. I love the nonverbal. This is good for both parties, I think.
No words need to be exchanged. We're here to work.
I
Absolutely.
think you get a feral grin out of Thranduil, and he just continues to to fight beside you.
Incredible.
He
Go
doesn't need to
ahead.
know your name. He doesn't have any questions about your forces right now. It's just kill the things.
Exactly. That's exactly where I came from.
Beautiful.
We got a
Now,
job, and we're good at this job.
Yeah.
yeah. In the interest of honoring both the previous session's Gandalfs from you, Justin, and the persuasion roles that you, Chris, have done in successfully recruiting the forces of both Mirkwood and Erebor
That
and
was a tough road.
the
Tough road,
humans.
Justin.
There
Really
was
interesting. Wow.
Well, so
Okay.
Justin, I'll have you know that there was a chance that because I didn't mention it in the last session,
Mhm.
it was just elves. There was a chance that there were no dwarves or humans in this group because I had not
Sure.
had this session with Chris yet. And your final
Mm.
charge gave me the perfect excuse to incorporate not one person in a solo session, but to make this a little bit of a two
Gotcha.
guest.
I'm
Gotcha.
so
So,
happy.
to that end, we are going to roll a few rounds of combat with individual stuff. This will be quick. I don't want to keep you too much longer, Chris. And Justin, you're here for a quick cameo, and then we will wrap up. So please choose your stances and then roll me an attack with the weapon of your choice. So I believe you are dual wielding swords, Chris. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're going to go ahead and roll twice for me because you're going to attack twice, but your swords are only going to deal 4 damage. Typically, they do 3, but you are an elven king, so you have boosted stats as a higher level NPC.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Justin, what do you use?
I'm going forward with my sword.
Okay, so forward position is an extra d6. Chris, you can also be in the forward position. You would get an extra d6, but your enemies would also get an extra d6 against you.
I need more dice.
I'm looking for my parry score.
But I'm going to ask a question, and then we are going to have our final combat respectively. Justin, are you or Thranduil, are you splitting apart from each other, or is this sort of a we're going to fight one-on-one, but close enough to each other that if we need help, we can help one another? Before you answer, please write down and chat to me within this Zoom call. Send me a chat just to me.
Okay.
In the bottom left-hand corner, you can manage. You can say meeting group chat or Don Marshall. Message Don Marshall.
Interesting. Why the secrecy?
Because I need to know how this combat's going to work. Because even though it is a cameo, we can still have consequences for this. And I need to know which one of you might see some things. Okay?
Okay, so what is the question that I am
The
answering?
question to you is Thranduil breaking off on his own, or is he sticking close enough to Halbarad in this sort of moment of I see you, you see me, that you are sticking together? So it's either stick together or split apart.
Is there a moment of silent communication where we agree?
You are going to make that choice yourself, whether or not to follow Justin. Justin is going to make that choice, which is why you are both texting me. If you both give me the same answer, I will tell you. If you do not, we will roll combat in a particular way, depending on how I have this set up. So, Chris, does Thranduil stick with Halbarad after that moment of nodding to each other and saving each other's life? You can either text me the words stick together, or you can text me the words depart. That does not mean you will not get back together or meet up again somehow. But for in this moment, I'm going to need a decision from you.
Oh, man.
Split second to decide. This is combat.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Halbarad. The moment passes, and Thranduil departs. As you stick as close to him as you possibly can, he's a little bit faster than you.
Wow.
Do you follow
Okay.
him? Here's my question to you, Justin. Does Halbarad follow this elven lord?
Fucking elves. Okay. I try to be a team player, and this is where he gets me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna beg Thondril to stick around, but
You gonna follow him?
Do you want to hear my reasoning?
No, save it for the after party.
Save
The most strategic thing to do is to stick together as a group.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be damned if I follow an elf.
Okay, you all go off and do your own thing.
Okay.
I would like you to make me 5 attack rolls with the weapon of your choice. Let me know if in any of those 5 you roll below a 12.
Okay. Oh, I need one more d6. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Yep.
And when I'm rolling, I'm rolling a d12 and then the 3d6 for the swords that you gave me?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And because you are dual wielding, actually, Chris, I'm going to ask you to actually roll 10. Roll 10 attacks. Yeah. Justin will do 5. This will be if any of your attacks hit, and just sort of set the scene for how we end this as we wrap up.
Okay. And stance makes a difference, correct?
Stance does make a difference. So a forward position gives you an extra d6, but also your enemies an extra d6. The open position is just your normal rolls. The defensive position is you lose a d6, but so do your enemies on their attacks. And then rearward, which is just using your bow. Although I think we've established you're using a sword, so I'm say
wielding swords, so probably not with bow.
Okay.
Okay. Please hold.
What's the plan, Stan?
All right, Halbarad, roll me 5 attack rolls. Let me know if you roll lower than a 12. A reminder, you are in forward position.
Okay. Let
Chris,
you know if I lower. Roll.
Does my stance have to be the same as I go?
Or no, you can change it up. You can change it up. I'll allow you to change it up.
Okay. And you wanted anything that's below 12?
Tell me how many you roll that are below 12 out of those 10.
Okay.
I'm rolling 5 d12s at the same time.
Amazing.
One of them's the Eye of Sauron.
Ooh, okay, so that's 1 failure from Halbarad.
Wait, I have to add my d6s to each of them, right?
You do, yes. So it's 1 d12.
Oh, it's different.
And however many d6s you have, and then you roll that d12 and those d6s 5 times.
Oh, this is a lot of dice.
Oh yeah.
So for the Eye of Sauron, do I still need to roll that dice?
That's an automatic. That's an automatic failure. No.
So that one doesn't count. 7, 10, 11, 15, 21 plus 4 is 25. That's a pass.
Okay.
10, 11, 14, 20, 21.
Oh yeah.
25.
Just as long as you beat a 12. Just as long
that's
as you
another. That's another one.
Yep.
Forward, 1, 2. That's another pass. And 7, 12. That's so that's 4 passes and 1 failure.
4 passes and 1 failure. All right, Thranduil, how many you got?
Still working on it.
Yep.
I have only 2 out of the 10 failed, and they were both Eye of Sauron.
2 out of the 10 failed, and they were both Eyes of Sauron.
One of them would have beat the number, but Eye of Sauron is automatic failure, I'm presuming.
Right. Okay.
So I also got 2 Gandalfs though. So
okay.
Balance.
Beautiful. All right. So here's what I am gonna say here. The way I am crafting this is rather than have you guys fight individual battles one-on-one, we're going to sort of go through a series of combat rounds. I am going to go ahead and make rolls to for those 2 for you, Thranduil, and 1 for you, Halbarad, to see if you take any damage. Because this is sort of a longer-ish battle as the rout is happening and there is chaos, it is going to deal more damage than a normal attack. That is to signify not that one orc got you and you have a grievous wound, but rather you took cuts and bruises and bangs and all sorts of things. I will let you know you did very good, because each failure is going to be 10 damage each. However, with your Gandalf's, Chris, we will reduce it down to 15 if I succeed in hitting these. However, I am rolling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am rolling 66 to hit your parry scores. So, 6,
Oh my
10. This is
goodness.
for you, Chris. Okay, Chris, yes. You, over the course of this rout and this battle, take 20 points of damage. You are down to 7.
Ooh, ouch.
Halbarad, you, oh yeah, that's an 8 already. No, 8, 10, 16. Oh yeah, that's 3 6s. Oh, that's 3 6s. Hang on.
The devils die.
All right. Yes, Halbarad, in your 1 failure, you take 10 points of damage.
Rude.
You both watch as Arwen and the army of the dead sweep through as your forces, left, right, and center, start clobbering. And there is this moment of calm, similar to how when the ghost army came through, you've been fighting for so long, but the ghosts, they swept through, and the boat was only so fast. They have to charge, and there's all of this chaos, and the things start to settle down, and the smoke starts to clear, and you've Thranduil, there's that human again. And he looks beat to shit, and you probably look worse, and it's all kinds of crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
You said that with my 2 Gandalfs, it was going to reduce, so it wasn't going to be 20?
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Yes, I did say that immediately and then forgot about it. So instead
That's fine. That's why I'm calling you on it.
You take 50 instead of taking 20 damage and being down to 7, you take 15 and are down to 13.
And I take how many?
You take 10 points total. All right. There's going to be another moment as we end this spin-off session where Chris, Thranduil is going to lock eyes through the battlefield with Halbarad. And Halbarad, you are going to feel a hand sort of not on your shoulder, but on the side of your arm. You fight pretty well for someone of your size. And you look down and you see a dwarf in resplendent armor holding an enormous hammer.
How dirty is the armor?
It is dirty in that it has taken a beating, but if you were to look at it, you would get the sense that it is quite fine armor.
Okay. So it's been used. He has been fighting. He can stroll up with
the blood on it is not his blood.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm gonna look down at the dwarf and then size him up a little bit. And who are you supposed to be?
Dane Ironfoot II, King of the Lonely Mountain. Who are you?
Lonely Mountain. I'm just gonna look around.
Who are you? Grunt.
I'm just gonna chuckle. Halbarad, leader of the Dunedain.
Oh, Rangers of the North. I've heard tale of your kind. You fight well.
My reputation precedes me.
Well, not yours, just your people's. But if you're anything like your people's and what I've seen, we shall get along famously. Come, we have some creatures to slaughter. And he is going to yell a dwarven cry, cheer, yell off, and Thranduil, I think you're going to lock eyes with Halbarad in this moment of what just happened. Halbarad, what's your initial impression of this as we wrap up this evening?
This person didn't want to stick together? Okay. Show off.
Thranduil?
This was a test.
Okay.
To see if Halbrad would follow, would stand on his own, and could continue to stand on his own without aid. Knowing that the other forces were behind him and would 100% back him up. Back Halbrad up. So there is respect in that this is a leader unto himself.
Interesting.
You're not the only one who plays games, my friend.
Halberd does not play games. He's a straight shooter. Okay.
You always judging everybody around you, though, and Thranduil does the same thing.
We have something in common. Oh my god.
They'll probably be great friends. They just won't talk a lot.
Can I size up Thranduil's army and the whoever dwarves he brought?
Thousands of elves, humans, and dwarves of all shapes and sizes and ilks and ages.
I think after going through the dead marshes, there is particular fire in the elves because they know what they've paid in the past. And they're going to take it out on some motherfuckers right now.
So Halberd finally looks around at all the people that Thranduil brought and just has like a fucking thank God somebody didn't have to be convinced to be here. You know, that's what he thinks. That he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know. Like, he has just a sigh of relief that people came and fought for good instead of like going to the Grey Havens. And he's going to check
Thranduil.
He's going to walk up to Thandriel. Oh my gosh, I can't talk.
Thandriel.
Sorry, I can't talk. It was
Judge.
Fair.
That's going to be a reference for like 6 people. It's a
mispronounced
Judge, mispronouncing elven names.
George.
Anyway, it's a Dimension 20 Brennan Lee Mulligan reference.
Love it. I was right there with you.
Thank you. Chris, what does Thranduil do in this moment as he sees Halbarad Sai?
I think he calls out you didn't really think you were alone, did you?
Halberd's gonna find a body or a rock to sit on and just takes a seat.
Is this after the battle?
The battle's over, right?
I will say that as the battle clears, you two see each other. Yeah, that was what I was trying to get across.
Okay. I was like in the midst
down,
of it.
No, just like as Merry and Pippin find each other, so too do these. Like, oh, you again.
Halberd's gonna start takes a dirty rag from an orc or whatever and starts cleaning his sword. Oftentimes I am alone. Thank you for your forces and your strength.
I'm glad I trusted you to stand on your own.
Trusted me? I don't need to earn anything from you.
No, but you did regardless.
Halberd kind of like squints his eyes like, well, what does this elf want? No time for games. And he gets up with his sword clean. Is there any more orcs in the area or anything?
Oh, they're still far off in the right. They're being a route is basically the creatures have run, but you are still going to need to chase after them and kill them. You can leave that to your forces and head back to the city now that the reinforcements have arrived, or you can go chase after them yourself.
Do I have an arrow on me?
Yeah, I'll say you have an arrow.
I'm going to turn the
Thranduil.
And he kind of looks off in the distance where the orcs are going. Tell me, what do your elf eyes see?
And are you drawing when you ask this?
Yeah.
I see. That one. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And that is where we are going to end this very special spin-off of the
That was clever,
Unpredicted
Chris.
Party. Please add an extra 6 HP to the final boss, Apex, as Justin's quote sneaking in there. Chris,
But someone
thank
has
you
to
so
do
much.
it.
Of course.
Justin, thank you for joining us for this last few minutes cameo. I couldn't think of a better way to introduce both of your characters to each other than this. So I cannot wait to see what happens next. Justin, you are free to continue to charge to your death. We can have a conversation about that later if you want, and you can just come back, or we can have you back. I don't know if I'll be able to fit everybody on a single Zoom call, but we will likely try and have as many people back as we can for various episodes and scheduling. We will not have an unpredicted after party today, unfortunately, just because I have to go do things in real life. Chris, if the people are watching this and don't know who you are, tell the people where they can find you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris. I go by Wizard Way Chris. That's Chris with a K. On most social media, I am known as TikTok's resident elf boy. I translate shit into Elvish for a living, so this is my entire personality. I just began doing voice acting as well, and projects that I can't yet talk about, but hopefully will soon. And I am soon reading a script of Fellowship of the Ring along with Justin.
When does
For
this episode
these
air?
So
Yeah,
this
when
will
will this
air.
air?
This will air after this has already happened. However, I will put a link to it in the description if it is available to be watched on replay. Thank you so
I
much,
think
Chris.
on replay, as long as you prove that you have donated to one of 3 charities to benefit Palestine. So
Excellent.
please
Okay.
donate
I
some
can also-
money. Get to watch Justin playing Aragorn and me playing Galadriel.
Hell yes. Fun fact, that was the reason I one of the first one of the first conversations Justin and I had was, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And Justin asked, can I be Aragorn? And I went, no, I killed him, he's dead. And he goes, can I be Black Aragorn? And I went, yeah, sure, he's got a lieutenant. And
the equivalent, sure.
Yeah, we're here now.
What could possibly go wrong?
Let's find out. Justin, where can the people find you?
You can find me wherever toys are sold, at Freddy's Roommate on Twitter, TikTok, and on Instagram.
Beautiful. I have been Don Marshall, your lore master. We will be back in 2 weeks, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/DonMarshall72. Or if we ever change this channel to just the Unpredicted Party, it'll be something like youtube.com/the Unpredicted Party. I don't know. I got ideas after this campaign ends. Thank you all so much.
Randy's back. All right.
Thank you all so much for joining. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.